fold, we're going to be folding it in half. It's going to be stitched to the top of your quilt, and we're going to demo this, and then it's going to wrap around those raw edges to the back and be about 3/8 of an inch wide.
Lovely.
Okay, so that's how it works. So now we're going to use these shorter strips.
You know, I was kidding about the terrible thing, right?
I know.
I was just joking. I was totally sarcastic.
I've seen some bad bindings, and where you really don't want to have a bad binding is if you're entering any competition. Because I always say to people, make sure your bottom right corner looks really good, because that's the one the judges have time to look at and flip over. So at least make sure one of them is good. Okay, so a decision you have to make is how wide to cut your strips. When Liz and I first started making quilts in the 70s, the only batting really available was kind of a thick polyester. So we got started binding quilts with 2.5 inch wide strips. Then cotton batting came along.
Right, and you found out shortly, and I have only ever used 2 1/4 inch strips, because you just don't need that extra 1/4 of an inch anymore.
Because the cotton is flatter. It's just not as thick. Unless you're making a flannel quilt. The flannel is thicker, the binding is thicker, so that's when I go back to 2.5 inch wide strips.
And some quilters go down to 2. People have different methods, of course, as usual. So,
but
2 1/4.
Kind of rule of thumb. Okay. So the next step is to find out how many strips of those 40-inch wide strips you need. So let's just pretend we've got a quilt. I like a size 80 by 100.
Okay.
Okay. So you've got 80 twice, because that's the top and bottom.
Right.
So
160.
And then you've got 100 twice. Those are the sides. So that's 200.
300.
Okay.
Yeah, 200. Right.
368.
360. Let's see. You said 80.
So 80 by 100, so
360.
360.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you can do it longhand, or you can go to your calculator and take 360 inches. That's the perimeter of your quilt, divided by 40 inches, because you know you're going to have your strips that wide, equals 9 strips. So I want to cut 9 strips, but I'm going to throw in one more because you want a little extra to do the closing of it. So however many strips, 10 strips, you would multiply 10 strips times however wide your binding is, 2 1/4, and then you know how many inches to go and buy or find in your stash.
Right.